Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Knox Makers. It's Tuesday evening, and that means it's time for show and share. Before we get into our shares this evening, I want to acknowledge Billy, who has installed some fantastic new AV equipment that needed installing. Behold. We have snappy new projectors and a fancy new document camera. So thank you very much for installing that stuff for us. And along those lines, let me let you know, if you're sharing tonight, that this thing works differently. Don't touch the buttons. Use this lovely little knob here to zoom in and out. Very good. So, to start us off this evening, we've got Tootsie, who has brought a wooden puzzle for our collective enjoyment.
I'm unprepared, hold on. Okay, so wait, oh, it's a big box. This is a box of cigars. No, I'm just kidding. I used the laser cutter to make a 3D, or a wooden puzzle. I'll show you what it looks like. So, first thing I did was just use the laser to engrave the design. And the first mistake I made was that I didn't cut out around the outside of the design. So I ended up having to go back and redo the whole thing and engrave the design, but then also like cut it all the way out of the wood at that point. Sorry, now we're back to zoom back in. And then I used Sharpies actually to color all of it, and a little bit of gold paint for the golden parts that you see there. And then I just used like a Mod Podge shellac that I had. That was my second mistake. It actually turned out kind of sticky. And so the pieces are like slightly like tacky to each other. It didn't dry like all the way crisp. So next time I'll probably use something different to like seal the whole thing. And then the tricky part was I had to, I think I bought an Etsy file for like $1 or $2 that was just like a wooden puzzle template. And there are like a bunch of different sizes, and then like getting everything like a manageable size to fit on the puzzle took a few tries, and I practiced with cardboard a little bit. Finally got the size that I wanted, and then so I had to put the cardboard down, cut out only the outline, and then use that cardboard as a template to put the painted puzzle in, and then cut the puzzle out. Sorry, I'm getting text. So that was a fun learning process, like learning how to like cut something that was already cut in the exact spot you wanted to, or some cutting, beep, bop, bop. And then we had a puzzle. And the funny part was that I like fought the machine so hard to like figure out exactly the shape and get all the corners kind of like rounded out to where it wasn't like cut out any like itty bitty tiny pieces. So it was all like a very random process, and I ended up with exactly 200 pieces. Very. Also, I counted how many pieces I had because that's unnecessary. And it all works, and it all fits together. And then I just printed out the picture of it to put in the box for my friend whose birthday present it is. The end. Yes.
Can you zoom in on the pieces? Because I saw when you cut it out, I was really surprised that the piece. Well, no, take the pieces out of the box if you don't mind, and then zoom in. I was surprised that they weren't burned by the laser, because usually when you are cutting it out, you're getting burn marks on the coloring, and I just thought that was kind of interesting. I didn't see a whole lot of burn marks on it. On the back side, yes, but on the front side, the color part, I don't see a whole lot of burning. Maybe there is. I just missed it. But
Yeah, no, there wasn't a lot, even on the colored part. And
I just thought that was really
Yeah, and you would think that if I had painted all of it, that would cover it up, but a lot of it was just Sharpie. So if burn marks had been on the front, they would have shown through, but they weren't. Also, my next evolution of this is one of the hardest parts with just coloring it was because of the way that the design was. I had to actually go in, like technically you can get the laser to like hatch out like the dark parts of the design, but that was too much for my brain. So I just went in with a Sharpie to like color in the black lines between. And so next time what I want to do is put a piece of contact paper on the whole thing first, before I engrave it, and see if I can like pull just sections of the contact paper off. So just pull like the black outline of the contact paper off and paint that whole thing, or even spray it, so it would make like that little like minute work a lot easier.
Use tape.
Tape, not contact paper?
Yeah, if you use tape, it'll burn just through, and then you take off the tape. It's called meaty when you intertape.
Right. But has anybody tried contact paper? Is that different? Because contact paper you can get in huge strips, so you don't have to.
It would have to be pretty thick, I think.
Okay, well, that's something to
Right.
experiment with, but yeah, that's something I want to do.
How easily do the pieces slide together?
Really easily. Yeah, well. I was like, oh, these two. But no, like I've done a lot of other wooden puzzles, and it's comparable to something I've purchased in stores. I'll pass them around, but everybody has to promise not to drop any. Okay? Promise, everybody? Don't do it. Don't do it. Jam. Okay.
That's a really fun project. And that seems like an ideal thing for the laser, too. I'm surprised we don't do more of that. Next up, we've got Annie, who has brought a miniature cafe with roses.
I don't know if it'll actually show on here. Let's see. Too big. Anyways, this is a little like miniature kit. I'll just put it out. Miniature kit that I made, and as one does with miniature kits, a lot of times I didn't like what actually came in the kit, so I probably modified about like 60% of it. One of the things I really liked that I did was I made like custom roses out of like vellum and tissue paper. So I'm just gonna show. So basically on like art paper, you color with alcohol like markers, which soak through the paper a little bit better, and then cut it out really thin, and I have an SVG file that I use to cut it out. So it makes like these little tiny little like pieces. These are leaf pieces for the rose bushes. And then I was cutting it earlier, but also have like, this is the roses, and I used vellum paper for that, which is like used for tracing, and then dip it in like some baby oil, which gives it a nice like kind of cool texture to it. And then you're able to kind of glue it together and make like little rose bushes, or there's like a little rose in a little vase that I made out of the top of a makeup brush. But and then I did hook it up so that it does light up. Let me pull it up. So it's got a little light in it. And a couple of the other like fun things that I did was I also like did custom like pie in there, which you can't quite see, which I made out of clay and everything. So yeah, that's it.
How long does it take to make?
Maybe like 2 weeks or so. I don't know. I kind of like work on it in the evenings. So I have like a little desk, and it just depends. So yeah.
Can you zoom in on the rose garden with the new
Maybe. I'm not sure. I can try. And then I also did, you can see the grass. I used what's called flocking, which if you ever are into model trains, it's a pretty common thing. So it basically is like very thin nylon threads for the grass. and you have what's called a flocker. So it's actually like a little like small electric current that makes all the nylon threads like stand up kind of like grass. I'm not great at it yet, and I have a really cheap flocker, but it's been kind of fun to work with. And then you can see I cut out all the little like leaves and glued them on and everything. So anyways, I'll have it give it a look later.
So zoom in.
Oh yeah, zoom in. Wow. I don't know. Yeah, you can kind of see it there. And then I think like if the next versions of ones I'm doing, I've got like a couple like tiny resin mason jars that I have a little mold for that I've been doing out of resin. So I've been doing like some like flower arrangements in little tiny resin molds. I did use like real potting soil for the dirt, which kind of came across weird, and I had to pick out all the like weird styrofoam bits, but I looked it up, and a lot of people use like coffee grounds and dry them out, so I'll probably like try experimenting with that. So yeah. Oh yeah, see?
How many little pieces of paper are in each row?
Probably like 6 or 7. So I'm actually making a couple new ones, but basically you take like a bead and then you put them on the bead and you kind of like wrap them around, and then you get the like paper little leaves, and then you can glue them on as like ones. And then one of the other cool things you can do that I kind of did for this one, it's called like liquid super glue. So it's a very, very thin super glue that you can actually kind of like cure paper with. It almost makes it like as hard, which means you can cut out paper and make it almost as hard as wood. And you can cure it in like baking powder. It makes it like not sticky anymore. So did that a little bit for this one, which kind of gives it like a sheen. So yep, any other questions? Oh, yeah.
How did you learn this? Just through experimenting, or your
We'll call it COVID and YouTube. And like I said, one of the great things about like taking a kit and then modifying it is that like, you know, a lot of times it's kind of like I tried to do a bunch of like, I'm going to cut it out myself on the laser cutter, which I have done. I'm working on a big dollhouse, but cutting out on the laser cutter. So I started out with like a Harry Potter book nook, but sometimes it's really hard when things don't like fit together, and conceptually I'm not an engineer, although my husband is. But so it's nice to get the kit and then you kind of modify it when you're like, because the original one had like really, really cheap like plastic flowers that didn't look real, so like you can kind of go in and make it your own kind of thing. So yeah, I enjoy it, so and it's cute. So anyways, any other questions? Cool. Thank you guys.
Fantastic. Next up, we've got Cyrus, who has brought a coat rack and chisels for our edification.
All right, well, this, my voice is about gone, so hopefully I can make it through this. But anyhow, story starts about 10 years ago, maybe 15, I don't know. I made some coat racks for some family members, and one of them was my sister-in-law. She had it hung up in her house, and they moved, and they didn't realize that it came off of the wall real easily, so they left it there in the house when they moved out. So then she didn't have a coat rack. So I said, okay, I can make you another one. And then it turned out that the new house they moved into had a dying walnut tree in the backyard, pretty big walnut tree. So she asked me, she knew that I had cut some trees in the past and, cut some boards out of trees and things like that. So she arranged for me to get a piece of it with the people that were cutting the tree down. So this was back in 2020 during the COVID, just back in May, I think it was. Anyhow, she lived in Gallatin, which was kind of the epicenter of COVID for Tennessee there for a little while. But anyhow, we went over there, didn't go in her house, but went over there and started work on this, retrieving this tree. So this is part of it. Anyhow, that's dragging it up the ramps into the back of my truck. It was too big to fit in the truck. It was too long, so I had to cut it in half, unfortunately. So it ended up being 2 different pieces. So this is the other piece when I got it home, unloading it. Back off of this now. So then I had to cut it. So I cut it with a chainsaw in half first. And then I cut two more slabs off each side. This was on one of the pieces at least. I did kind of the same thing with both pieces and ended up with some nice slabs. This thing is. What? That was the other. That was the crotch piece, which was kind of interesting. So anyhow, that's where the wood came from for this current project. So this is another one of the pieces of wood that this is some book match wood. I keep turning this the wrong way, but so that's not the actual wood I used for the coat rack, but I used a piece that was similar to that. Not that big. And of course, in the process of making this coat rack, I had to make pegs. And so I broke out the lathe and turned some wood pegs. I don't get the lathe out too often, because I don't use it too often. But anyhow, I have to move some things around in the shop to get it out. Once I get it out, I think, okay, there's a few other things I could do with the lathe while I've got it out. So one of the things I needed to do after I made these pegs was I needed to make some chisel handles. I collect old chisels, and so I've got quite a few that don't have handles anymore. So I've had a couple that I wanted to make handles for. So unfortunately, I didn't get any pictures of that operation, but the handles that I made for the wood chisels require ferrules to keep the wood from splitting. They're just basically a little tube. And so this was my source of brass to make the ferrules. This is an old chunk of brass that I had collected years ago. So did a little turning on the lathe and ended up with, you can kind of see it. It's basically a tube there, which I haven't cut off yet. So that's going to be one ferrule, and then actually I flipped the piece around and made another ferrule out of the other end of the piece. This is working on the other end of the piece in a different lathe. And then this is the board that I used for the coat rack. It has one live edge and one cut edge. It's 36 inches long. And I needed a 3/4 inch hole, and I didn't really have a good 3/4 inch wood bit, but I did have this old bracing bit, so I used it. It's surprising, if those things are sharp, they do a pretty good job. I'm not against using old tools. Yeah, so this is what I ended up with as the coat rack with the 5 pegs in it. And it just has a kind of a tung oil finish on it. And this is what the chisels ended up with and looking like. One big one and one small one, and I have these here. You might be able to see better. Put away. Okay, so once I had the chisels, then I don't like the sharp end of the chisels bumping around in the chisel drawer too much, so I like to have protectors on them. And I haven't been able to buy any lately, so since I'm into 3D printing now a little bit, I decided to make some 3D printed chisel protectors. So that was the final part of this. This chisel's a little bigger. I don't know if it'll fit on there or not. These are called socket chisels because the wood fits into this metal socket on the chisel. I kind of prefer those kind of chisels. But anyhow, so that's about it. I delivered the wood rack last week, I think it was. So she seemed to like it. All right.
For the coat rack, how do you mount it to the wall?
Okay, I mounted it with, yeah, I should have taken a picture of that, but I have make these little keyhole plates that I recess into the back of the thing so it's flush, and then put 2 screws in the wall and hang it on that. Works. It would have taken them 10 seconds to take it off the wall from their first house if they had known how to do it. I think they saw me put it up, but I guess they forgot in the interim. But anyhow, yeah.
Can you zoom in on your brass at the end of the chisel?
Yes. 2 different brasses there. See, is this in or out? A little time delay on this. Anyhow, they're nothing great. They're kind of a tight fit, so I had to really pound them on there to get them to fit. And these handles are white oak, and the wood rack was all walnut. I mean, the coat rack was all walnut.
Is this just a friction fit into the chisel?
Yes, it's a tapered fit, and it supposedly locks in real tight, once you pound on it a couple times. And when I was fitting them, they have to fit pretty closely. When I was fitting them, I was kind of putting them together gently, and it was surprisingly hard to get them back apart even at that time. So I have some other socket chisels, and they seem to stay together. So that's all that holds them together, those friction. I thought about putting some epoxy in there, but I thought, well, I'm not sure I need that. So.
Is the profile of your handles, is that a traditional design or is that your design?
Well, I mean, I kind of copied. Yeah, this is kind of a traditional design, I think. I mean, I've seen that same sort of shape before. I didn't copy it exactly. This one is a little bit different. This one, I was reading an article in a book, and it was talking about chisel handles, and if they're round and it's a small chisel, they tend to roll off your bench. So I thought, they said you need to have square handles or whatever, but I didn't really want a square handle, but this one it's got flats on it, so it won't really roll too easily. This one's big enough with the chisel, it won't roll.
So you turn those wood blades, how do you put the flats on?
I'd flattened them with a plane, just took a little block plane and tried to get them 90 degrees apart. I mean, I clamped the flat side in the vise and planed the top side down. Any other questions? All right.
Finish on.
This is all this tongue oil, Minwax tongue oil finish. It's kind of, it's so simple. I've used tongue oil finish for about 40 or 50 years. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Cyrus. Just think, if they had moved the coat rack, then you would still have no handles for your chisels. Finally, this evening, we've got Sue, who has brought a felting attempt to show us. Attempted felting.
Yeah, you got to try it once, right? I've seen people do this wool felting, and it looks really cool, and I watched some YouTube videos, and how hard can that be? Other than taking this extremely sharp, skinny needle and stabbing it a whole bunch of times. But, so I was very tender and cautious when I first started this project, and it shows because, let's see if I can dial it in. Wrong way. Oh, you just kind of hold and it does it. Well, black on black isn't going to show real well. But there's this little tuft, and I was being very delicate, and I was holding my finger at an angle so that I wouldn't get the needle on my fingertip. And the hairs just keep pulling out. And so that's not right. So I thought maybe it was acrylic thread. I put a help out in the Fiber Arts channel. And I didn't get a lot of response right at first, so I thought, okay, I'm going to keep trying. So I went out and found some felt, and this is just cheap crafting felt that kids use. And I found out that I wasn't stabbing it hard enough. The felting needles have barbs, so think fishing hook, think porcupine quills. And you have to get those barbs past your fabric. And then once I figured that out, you can maybe see the felt on the back side. So now it's starting to stick and the hairs are staying with it. And it doesn't seem to matter what I put it in, it does stay. So I'm working on a costume. You're probably gonna want, what is this for? I'm working on a costume, and there needs to be kind of a bare chest, and I wanted a few sparse hairs on it. So this is what I'm working on, getting a few sparse hairs on it. Any questions on that? I did have one other share, totally unrelated. Okay, cool. When I went to the bank this last time, I was really surprised. We bank with Y12. I don't know if this is legal to show, but I won't show the whole thing. Maybe that's what I'll do. Well, the corner's torn off of it, right? Big deal, right? Well, the corner's torn off the other side too. Y12 will not accept this bill. They have to turn it into the Treasury, and it will take 3 years to get my money back. So,
I'll give you $10 for it.
they said, go to some other store and see if you can get rid of it there. So, yeah, okay. So if you have a bill that's damaged, yeah, try not to, Y12 is pretty sticky. Also, in the blue box, we have our anonymous donor was back again. And this time, they gave us $100 trillion. Yes, that's what I said. Do what? But it's $100 trillion from the Reserve Bank of Zimbabwe. So, yes, they are being very generous, but unfortunately, Y12 is just being really big sticklers about this money thing.
What's the exchange rate for US dollars to Zimbabwe?
And that's, thank you all.
As fascinating as your banking is, I just want to make sure that nobody missed the lead there. Make sure when you're crafting, you're stabbing with sufficient vigor. Stab, stab, stab. Next, we have a special announcement from Aliki.
Hi, friends. I brought notes this time so I don't forget things. So, as you may or may not have heard, depending on how new or seasoned you might be, we are having our Knox Makers Makers Market. I love saying it like that too. Coming up in 26 days. That's just a little over 3 weeks. I'm not freaking out, you're freaking out. So, with that, it has come time for me to start asking for assistance. Maybe you are really awesome at managing parking. Maybe you've got a secret skill of helping carry things to people's booths. Maybe you've secretly wanted to give tours of this building and no one has given you that opportunity. Shame, shame. But it's okay. It's going to happen this time. So, if you would like to volunteer to do one of these things that I said, or many other amazing things that you can do while helping out at our market, you can sign up by, there's a sheet on the table in hospitality with, that you can put your name and your email or Mattermost handle there. You can contact me through Mattermost. I'm Greekly Aliki. If you start typing in Aliki, I'll show up pretty quick. And you can send carrier pigeons to my house. That's the least favorite way. I do eat most things that fly, so just letting you know, don't send livestock to my house. But otherwise, what I really want is for everyone to get in the spirit of our market. We've got Kill Switch that's going to be happening at the time. We have a whole lot of other wonderful events, all of our makers. Some of them are some of you that are going to be presenting your awesome stuff. Also keep in mind that in 26 days, what amounts to basically all of our moms are coming to our shop. So look forward to an announcement or two of cleaning days that we're going to have in the future. And of course, as we approach the end of September, please hold your extremely sloppy and or messy projects past about the 26th or so for maybe after the market, so you can really spread out after the fact. But outside of that, if you have any other questions, I would love to answer them, but I'm very much looking forward to a really successful market later this month. Thank you very much. Oh, we have a question. Hold on. Hold. Yes.
Does the begging start next week or the week after?
The week after. Excellent. Another question.
You said you eat almost anything that flies. Do you mean with feathers?
I eat almost anything that lives, sir, not just flies. Thumbs, eye, teeth. Not a vegetarian. Sorry. I appreciate all the vegetarians. Any other questions? Excellent. Back to you.
For any new folks, I just want to further endorse this thing. If you have not been part of one of our maker markets yet, you really should do that. It is a super good time. I look forward to it every year. It is big fun to see the general public come in and be completely befuddled by our awesomeness. It's something to enjoy. So I hope that you will find a way to get plugged in on that. And speaking of Kill Switch, which Aliki just did, tonight I believe we're doing Kill Switch sparring. Yeah, that's a thing that's happening? Yes. So if you have not murdered any robots yet or witnessed any robots being murdered, then tonight would be a time for you to rectify that problem. Hello, yes?
Are we gonna have our 50-cent little ball thing?
The 50-cent little ball thing, also known as the Mystery Maker Machine, will absolutely be there. It is already accumulating.
Might mention that so people can start getting.
Look, mister, I just work here. In case you're not hip, the Mystery Maker Machine in a previous life dispensed small crummy plastic things to children who begged very loudly. Now it dispenses amazing pieces of tiny art that you make. There are many, many capsules in the arts and crafts area which are already accumulating tiny bits of wonder. Perhaps you too would like to spin some wonder and stuff it into a capsule so that Steve Brown may feel satisfied. Right, so beat up the robots, fill up the capsules. Also happening tonight, new member onboarding. If you are not already a member of this organization, that too is something that can be rectified. Tonight we will be talking about Knox Makers. We will be spilling our guts and sharing with you our hearts and preparing you to become a fully fledged member of this beautiful, beautiful place. If you're here for new member onboarding, that will happen after this event in merely a few minutes, and it will be a moderately good time. I do want to let you know that Thursday at 6:30 there will be an embroidery machine authorization, and if you are not already holding tickets to that, then that is too bad for you. There is also a bandsaw authorization happening on Thursday evening, for which I believe there are still tickets. So if you would like to be allowed to saw things in half, then that would be an opportunity for you to do that. Saturday is going to be a big day here. We've got lots of cool stuff going on. At 10 a.m., once again, Kill Switch. 10 a.m. Kill Switch for the complete beginner. I think that your roster is full on that one. Is that so? Okay, no more hangers on. So if you want to come witness the carnage, you could possibly do that, but don't expect to be able to actually murder yourself. We are at 1 p.m. doing Mood Ranker 101 and 4 p.m. Crossbow 101, so lots of laser training. You have bought all the tickets. That is good. Also at 6:30 on Saturday, a Learn to Sew class will be happening, and I think there's still a ticket on that one. So if you can't yet sew, your excuses are running short. Also happening on Saturday, we're painting the Thunderdome Kill Switch Murder Arena. Ashley is leading this effort. It should be an amazing, super fun time. If you like to paint things or are generally in support of murder, then please show up on Saturday around 10 a.m. and help her to paint it and make it beautiful and amazing and threatening. Other than that, I just want to reiterate thank you to Billy for installing our fantastical new projectors. I have enjoyed them all evening long, as I'm sure you have. Also, I want to thank all of you for having fixed the toilet about 36 times in the last couple of weeks. I do sort of miss the balloon chain solution, but probably the handle is better. So it's been swell. Yes, ma'am.
How many pounds of toasters are you
I will defer to our kill switch ambassador, Larry.
Put a mark or tonight. It depends on how many people sign up on it.
Double elimination is traditional, but I suppose all things are variable. Very good. I thank you all for your participation and your continued strangeness. We will now go out into the workshop and make wonderful things together, unless, of course, you're here for new member onboarding. That will happen in here in 10 minutes' time. 10 minutes. So synchronize your swatches. It is currently 7:36. At 7:46, we will commence the new member onboarding. Go and make.